Hey babes, welcome to Your Mom's Best Friends podcast, where we come together as a tribe and share the good, the bad, and the what in the actual fuck moments of motherhood, all while building our dream life. I'm your host, Brandy Ververs, mama to two littles, Army veteran, and business enthusiast. I'm obsessed with empowering mamas to live their life with their babies in tow while also building their dreams. If you're ready for a good laugh or to get inspired, grab your cup of coffee because you're in the right place. Hello, you guys. Welcome to today's episode. We are going to cover a few things that came to mind during last weekend, which was we were in Arizona and Lil had competed in her first pageant. And I could not be more proud of the hard work that she put in, all of the dedication, everything that it took in order to become Miss Colorado, because she did take home the crown. And I am just super, super proud of her. But during that weekend, I had a lot of moments that came into question, and I wanted to share it with you guys, see kind of, start that conversation of what your thoughts were, or how maybe you choose to parent or any of that. So let's go ahead and dive into it. I'm going to pull up my notes real quick. So, some questions that I had about this whole experience was the first one, am I too tough on my daughter? Because there were some instances where I was like, is this how 6-year-olds act? Is this how 6-year-olds show, this is their best? But we'll go more into detail about that. The second question that I had was, do I expect too much because she is only 6? Are my standards too high for my 6-year-old? Third question, is being hard on my kids a good thing, or am I going to royally fuck them up? And I say this because we always hear stories about the different types of parenting and how either that leads your kids to become this or do this and all of that stuff, right? And then finally, am I teaching her or them, because Chuck, not to trust themselves on how well they've done, but instead to look to others on if what they're doing is great or acceptable. And again, I'll go more into detail onto that because I actually have instances that will kind of make more sense when we talk about that. So before we get into the questions, I just wanted to say I am honestly just trying to raise a good human, one that knows that hard work pays off. And that if you practice, you will get better. And that if you step out of your comfort zone, you may fail. You may learn some things. You will learn some things, but you will definitely grow. So getting out of your comfort zone is a good thing. And like I said, I'm just trying to raise a good human, somebody who looks at life and knows, the world is her oyster, and to look at other people and encourage them and, to be that leading example for other people. I'm just trying to raise a good human. And so with that being said, let's dive into the first one where I say, am I too tough on my daughter? So at one point in the competition, you had to do an introduction. I wrote Lil a speech pertaining to what she wants to be when she grows up, what she's currently doing, all of that stuff, right? And we practice. And she had it memorized. I kid you not, in the first month. We were kind of just tweaking the tempo, where you would want to influx on certain words and all of that stuff, right? We were practicing that the rest of the months leading up to the pageant. And she killed it. She did so good. Confidence came through. She enunciated on the words that we were having issues with in the beginning. She was amazing during her introduction. Showed up, got on stage, had a microphone, and put on for about 200 people. And am I too tough on my daughter? Because there are days where she was like, Mommy, I really don't want to practice today. Can I just go play basketball? Or, Mom, I don't really want to say my speech to this person, somebody who, out in public, obviously friends and family, right? Or, to my nail tech. I brought her along one day to say it to her. And, she would be like, I really don't want to do this. And I would make her do it. Am I being too tough on her when doing those things? Because she killed it. And then there were some kids that came up on stage, said 5 words, and walked off. Like, am I being too tough on her to where, yes, she did amazing and she did great and I pushed her to do it when she wasn't really feeling it, and but like, she killed it. So at what point is it like, I'm too tough on you, or, practice makes perfect? And so I want you guys to sit with that and think about that and let me know your thoughts. The second question: do I expect too much because she is only 6? Like I said, her competitors, some had really, really good speeches, majority not, right? And so with that being said, do I push her to be amongst the top producers and the top performers, or am I too hard on her because she is only 6? Do I let her, slack off and go play basketball with her friends? Do I say, okay, honey, it's okay. You don't have to say it in front of this person. And, cater to her feelings for not wanting to do it? Am I too hard on her because she's 6? Do I start implementing these as like when she gets older, when she's like 10, 15? Like, when do you start being tough on them and expecting more out of them? Is 6 a good age? I don't know. And so I really, really wanted to ask you guys that question. 1 and 2 questions, they go hand in hand, right? Are you being too hard on them? Am I expecting too much? At what age is the proper, okay, now let's start giving you, not some criticism, but like expecting more, right? I know you can do better and I expect you to do better. And so when is a good age for that? I don't know. And so those 2 questions really, really had me thinking. And then the third question: is being hard on my kid a good thing, right? Is expecting them to do their best good? Or am I royally going to fuck them up mentally? We hear all of these things as parents as like, oh, you shouldn't, you should be encouraging, you should do this, right? Or, don't like let your kids think for themselves, or, don't always have them ask for your approval, or, the smartest people are the ones that always question things, or we hear all of these things as parents. And my question is pushing her to do her best a good thing? Is it going to give her that grit? Is it going to give her that tenacity to want to do better? Or am I royally going to fuck her up? And which leads me into the fourth question: teaching her not to trust herself and look at others for validation, or if she's doing things correctly. And I say this because they were like putting cream cheese on a bagel, okay? Something simple. And she's putting the cream cheese on the bagel, and then she'll look at me as if like, hey, mommy, am I doing this right? Like, is there a better way I could be doing this? Do you approve? Right? And she's already starting to do those things. And I really when I started noticing her do that, I started encouraging her, like, well, what do you think? Do you think you've done a good job, or do you think you could do better? And like, so I'm really, really trying to focus on that. Because I did notice she was looking at me for approval, and I want her to trust herself. I want her to trust her gut instinct and know that she's doing a really great job, no matter what other people may think, as long as she knows she gave it her all. But I want to be able to really push her, going like I want her to know that like as long as she's doing her best, that's all I can ask for. But I want her to also know that we have to show up even on days where we don't feel like showing up. So I feel like there's like that fine line, and trying to figure out where we're tiptoeing and where to follow that line and how to follow that line is so difficult as parents. And so I would really, really like to start the conversation with you guys and answering, am I too tough on my daughter? Or maybe ask yourself these questions and then respond. Do you expect too much out of your children? Is being hard on them a good thing? Or is it really going to royally fuck them up? And then because we push them to be better and do better, are we teaching them to not trust themselves, trust their gut, and, look to others for guidance? Answer those. Let me know what you guys are thinking. So finally, on the last day of the pageant, I posted a pic with the caption, just trying to make a decent human in a world full of poop heads. And the statement had triggered some people, and their comments really, really got me thinking on the drive back. It was a 12-hour drive. I had a lot of time to think. And I wanted to share these with you. So one user shared that, I shouldn't be sharing that type of energy when promoting positivity all the time, self-love, teamwork, and my small business. That's not the type of energy she expected from me when I talk about all of these things so often. And I talk about positivity. I talk about self-love. I talk about confidence. I talk about my small businesses, right? I do talk about all of those things, but I really wonder what made her say that when I literally just said, just trying to make a decent human in a world full of poop heads. Okay. So when it comes to this comment, I just want to clarify. When I say shitheads, I mean the people that will try to tear her down, that will try to dim her light because of how they feel about themselves. I mean those girls who she may think are friends, especially when she gets older in those preteen years. But then they try to deter her from her goals because they don't understand hers, right? We've all had friends where our goals didn't really align and they were like, oh, well, that's stupid. Or they'll make fun of you for accomplishing something. This already had happened to her. When she came home, she wanted to show one of her friends the crown that she had won, and her friend was like mocking her, putting it on. And she had felt some type of way. I could see it on her face about it. And I want to teach her to know that just because people don't see eye to eye with you, that is okay, but I don't want it to deter her way of thinking or her actions and that sort of thing, right? For what she wants to do or what she feels is right. I don't want other opinions from other people, other friends of hers, to make her question herself. And then especially boys when she gets older who will try to make her question her worth. Like, no, sis, you're amazing. You are just a light in this world of shitheads, and I want her to know that. In a world that can be so hard on young women, I really, really want to instill in her that, she has a good heart and she has a strong mind and that she knows she is amazing and that whatever she puts her mind to, she can accomplish anything. And so really trying to just instill that confidence in her in a world full of people who will try to tear you down because of how they feel about themselves. I responded back to that user and I said, I appreciate your opinion. And she had responded back, lack of empathy is the impact. And what I have to say to that is I'm not telling my daughter not to have empathy for those because she will. Like I said, she will know how others feel about her, have nothing to do with her. That rather how they feel about themselves, right? She will know that hurt people, and thus have empathy for those people. She will know that those people are lashing out against her and it's coming from a hurt place within themselves. It has nothing to do with her. And so I just really, really wanted her to know that, right? Know that she is a light, that she is amazing. Don't let other people deter her way of thinking or her goals and that sort of thing, because some people will be cruel. There are bullies out there, right? And that's what I'm specifically speaking of. In a world full of shit people who try to bring other people down, who try to dim others' light, just know that it has everything to do with them and nothing with you. But either way, I would love to know your thoughts about this entire scenario. The whole, do I expect too much? Am I too tough on her? Are we really going to royally fuck up our kids for being hard on them? And then are we teaching them not to trust their gut, but rather to look at others for approval or acceptance? Because I don't want to do that, right? I want her to trust her gut. And let me know your thoughts. Let's start a conversation around it. Definitely leave me some comments and I will either respond on a Instagram live, which my Instagram is Brandy Ververs, BrandyVervers, or maybe if I have a ton of questions, we can do a whole episode on it. So definitely let's start the conversation around those few questions. I am planning on doing a ton of interviews with other mamas on here talking about motherhood, the what the fuck moments, as well as business. So if you are interested in being a guest on this podcast, definitely message me on my Instagram and then let's set it up. Okay. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I didn't want to get super deep into it, but those were just some thoughts that I had on the 12-hour trip back from Arizona, where my sweet little girl, who has a good heart, shines bright, is very intelligent, took home the state crown. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and we'll chat soon. Bye, guys.
All right, mamas, that's what I have for you on today's episode. If you've liked what you've heard, please tag me on your Instagram stories at Brandy Ververs. That way we can continue to grow and empower more mamas to live their best life. See you next time.